being recorded. Thank you everyone for coming to our executive board meeting. We just had a couple of things that we needed to talk about before we get to our meeting next week. And I'm super happy that you could all come. I really appreciate it. So the couple of things that we wanted to talk about today is our schedule for the next few months. And then hopefully Shauna will be able to make it and talk with us about the harvest walk that is in plans. But if she isn't making it, I have some questions for Miles and Franziska. So I'll ask those and I'll talk about what I know. Yay, there she is. And then we want to talk about upcoming board elections and kind of where we're seeing ourselves evolving as far as that's going. And then while you guys are thinking about it, is there anything else that you want to make sure that we talk about?
I just have some comments about or questions as well about the harvest walk, but that's about it.
Okay. Jim, Sharon, Shauna, any other topics you want to make sure that we talk about besides what we have on our list? Upcoming board elections and evolving roles, harvest walk, schedule for the next few months.
Yeah, I guess I needed to look over the last minutes to see if there's anything that needed to be addressed, and everything was pretty clear, so I have nothing to add. I think that should cover it.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so I think where I'm going to start, because I think this will be pretty quick, is schedule for the next few months. And I am wondering how strongly you guys feel about whether we need a December meeting or if that would be a good month to take off. And at least right now, I'm feeling like it would be helpful for me to have the month off, but that might not be true for you guys. So I'm seeing a little nod from Sharon, like maybe that would be nice to have a break. All right, thumbs up.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll have a break in December. And then is anyone feeling passionate about particular topics that they would like to see upcoming? And I'll remind you, so next week we have Becky Timchuk coming from the school board, and I don't know if she'll have answers yet about second semester. I think that will be a question that folks will ask. I think what folks will know from the day beforehand and will have questions about is whether pre-K through third grade, whether they are going to start with the hybrid schooling after November 3rd. Is that right? Is it November?
I would say it was 8th.
No, November 13th.
13th.
Yeah. And so they hadn't made a decision when they announced that 4th through 12th grade were going to stay remote through the first semester. And again, if you guys have been tracking the numbers like I have, we had our highest caseload as a state, I believe last Thursday. So it's not trending really well right now. So my guess is that the half hour to 40 minutes that we're allotting her, it's probably going to be a bunch of venting, right? Right? She's really good at managing that. And then kind of the other smaller presentation, 15 minutes, is the developer for the Westmont subdivision, kind of uncontroversially planning a park in the subdivision. So I think that's going to be a fairly quick presentation, and I don't think it'll take more than the 15 minutes. And then in November, we have kind of a follow-up, and we are going to, forgive me for forgetting her name. She has such a great name. Franziska, Miles, do you remember the planner who's talking about the Cooper Mountain?
Sara.
Yes, Sara Phipps. So she is going to come and talk to us about all of the development that will be happening around Mountainside High School and just north of there. And I got to see her the board meeting or the NAC meeting that I missed last month. She presented to City Council and so did a fantastic job. My guess is she'll be using the same PowerPoint for that for our presentation. And it was very clear, very understandable. So that's what we have going into November. So any ideas for upcoming topics that you'd like to see? I mean, I would love to have something that's like positive and stress relief and, that kind of thing in January, because I feel like that time period between November 3rd and January 20th could be the most stressful time in our country's life. Just have a feeling. So we have a super cool neighbor, Polly Campbell, who is a writer and podcaster. And her most recent book was How to Have an Awesome Life. And I thought it would be really cool asking her if she would mind coming to talk to us in January. So thumbs up, thumbs down on that idea?
Thumbs up.
Okay. Great. Excellent. Okay. And then any other kind of subject areas or anything else that you guys are thinking about? Just so we have a basic idea. Sharon.
It's kind of dry, but, and Franziska and Miles, you might be able to help me here. Terry Lawler on our subcommittee on BCCI is going to be talking about, we're pulling together a meeting on land use so that when we have Cooper Mountain and other things like that, it would be how to focus on the attributes of effective comments when you're making testimony, strategies for success, and highlight the role of NAC comments in the development process. So I was thinking about that tie-in with big development like Cooper Mountain and how NACs can effectively weigh in.
Mike, kind of to flesh out a meeting like that, is maybe like a NAC 101 meeting. Like, hey, you've never been to the NAC meeting, come out. We're going to talk about what we do, why we do it, how you can get involved.
Right.
It might get some people out who, are afraid to just jump into a NAC meeting. It can be intimidating. You turn on your screen, you got James sitting there, ready to grill ya. I don't know, just to make it less dry, because it is a very dry topic and it's not for everybody, and Sexton Mountain's so built out.
Yeah, I totally get that. And there were ways that I know Kate Arnold and I back in the day put together a land use thing, and we actually called it What's Metro Doing to You? So it was a provocative title to get people out on a rather dry subject. But there are ways in making it more applicable by using examples. If you tell stories and use examples, you're going to get more people. But if you're just going through a litany of, I guess, do's and don'ts, you're going to probably glaze over.
So Sharon, do you want to maybe think more on that and work with Franziska, Miles, Terry, and kind of think you can be in charge of that February meeting. And okay. I love Miles' name for it, NAC 101. Make the NAC work for you or whatever.
It's a good one.
I like that.
Cool. And I think that'll be great because if January we're kind of easing into the year, and then February it's okay, kind of new year. Hopefully 2021, new world for everyone, right? And great way to get people involved in this. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah,
excellent.
I missed the meeting last month, and I I guess when Elliot ran it, is there any hot button issues that he was finding from his area?
Well, so he didn't have particular hot button, but he wanted to know more about development. So that's why we invited Sara for November. But at least I watched about half of the September meeting. You guys who were there, like anything else you would say that, I mean, I love the beginning when Elliot was asking, like, what are good things that are happening in the neighborhood? And I thought that that's a really cool way to start the meeting. So I definitely want to add that. So I think that's cool.
An idea I had that I thought would be nice is to put out like volunteer opportunities to do in the community. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think that would be a good way to not only help the community, but also get people involved.
Yeah.
I don't know how we would do. Obviously, I don't know the logistics of it, but I don't know. That seems fun.
Yeah. And that kind of fits into something that Shauna and I have been talking about. And when she talks about the costume walk, I mean, that's definitely an upcoming volunteer opportunity. So that would be, I like that. But yeah, we'll have to talk more about how we want to flesh that out and see what that looks like. All right, I think that's a good bunch of stuff to chew on for the next couple of months. I'm going to move on to our next topic, which is upcoming board elections and evolving roles on the board. So with Scott stepping away, we are going to have a treasurer role to fill. And Jim had a question. I think he and Sharon had been either talking or communicating some other way about, like, you know, how do we see Elliot on the board, and, you know, what is all of this looking like? And so I don't have any definite answers, but I'll share some of my thoughts, and then I want to hear what you guys are thinking. And so when Scott and I communicated about him stepping away from the board, it just made me think about what we have going on right now, what we look like, and you know, and so I had a couple of thoughts, and one was like, okay, either we need some board recruitment, you know, is there someone that one of us knows that we could have come in as a treasurer? Or, you know, is it time that we kind of reimagine and move around a little bit? And maybe, you know, in essence, Elliot's a co-chair as well. Like, do we have too many chiefs, not enough Indians? You know, is it kind of goofy that, you know, it's Sharon, me, and Elliot as co-chairs? And, you know, is it time for me to step into that treasurer role? And, you know, I could learn something new. And so, again, I don't have definite thoughts or ideas about it. I do get excited about learning new things. I don't know how great a treasurer would be. Math is not exactly my superhero power. But you know, it would be, it's good to learn new things, right? And so, you know, role modeling that for my family and for myself always seems good. But just wondering about, you know, thoughts you guys have about, you know, what you're doing. And Sharon definitely has some thoughts. One thing I'll throw out is that, and Olivia, I kind of have a question for Franziska and Miles on this. Like, with your age, I don't know how much additional responsibility you can take on. So I don't know what city or legal requirements are as far as that. Like, in a way, I kind of think of you are our youth representative. And like, that's a wonderful thing, you know, on its own. So I guess like before we get to Sharon, like quick question to Miles and Franziska, like because of Olivia's age, is she limited in any way?
She probably couldn't be treasurer because you have to sign on to the bank account.
Nor do I want to be treasurer, so that's not a problem.
Yeah, I hear you.
You want to be recorder? I'll make a switch.
Are you going to be our youth representative, Jim?
No, I'll be the treasurer.
You would be treasurer?
No.
Yeah.
A little late for youth rep.
Let me give some things for everybody to just chew on for a second. First, West Slope had 3 chairs for a good 20 years, and it worked out really well for them. 3
Okay.
co-chairs.
Uh-huh.
They just rotated so that no one got burnt out on it.
Yeah, and I do like that because having Sharon and having Elliot, it's so nice to have to not wear the mantle on my own.
Yeah, so there's nothing weird about it, I would say. It's just the way we do meetings is weird. So finding new ways to do things is a great idea, I think.
Yeah.
As far as the recorder role goes, Olivia, if you were interested, it's not, Jim does a really good job of summarizing the meeting. That's not technically what you need to do. What you need to do is just capture a few key things, votes and when the meeting was called to order and vote passed or failed and who seconded it. It's really simple. And since we're recording them all now, for the time being, I don't know that you need to summarize them so thoroughly. People do read them, but I just wanted to preface like what it means to be a recorder, because that's one of the toughest positions to fill, because people think it's like, I'm gonna be a court reporter, like taking down word for word what everybody says.
Yeah. Sorry if you hear background noise. My mom's also on a Zoom, but I could definitely do that. I think that would be a good job for me to have. It sounds pretty self-explanatory.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since it's recorded, I could like rewatch it if I missed something as well. So yeah. Okay. Yes, I can do that.
Okay. And Shauna, are you happy continuing to do social media?
I'm happy.
Okay. So that's cool. And again, like we all have to be voted in November, right? Like this is a conversation and we have to have that final vote in November. So it's not set in stone, but having a basic idea of who would like to run for what is helpful to have. So I'm comfortable with that plan. Sharon had her hand up before. So what did you want to add, Sharon?
Okay, so a couple things. One is looking at the present composition. First off, is Scott coming off completely or just off the board?
He is leaving completely.
Okay, so I'm counting 6 people, is that correct?
Yes, that seems
okay.
Right.
And because we have the 3 chairs, and I know that we chair by committee, which is fine, since this is my second rodeo at this with Sexton Mountain, I'd be willing to come off as a co-chair and do like BCCI rep, something, and so that Jen and Elliot could be co-chairs. I mean, I'm up for anything.
I'd rather keep you as co-chair. If Miles said like West Slope did 3 co-chairs for 20 years, I'd rather keep you. I mean, you're already doing BCCI, and you typically have like many ideas on what the topics of the meeting should be, and you know the people to get in touch with to be those presenters. So I guess my preference is if you don't mind continuing in that role, I would rather you stay in it.
I just thought I'd give you an option.
Yes, thank you. All right. And so, Jim, you are willing to be treasurer?
Right.
Okay. And so, Miles and Franziska, probably we need to wait until it becomes official before Jim trains with Scott and does the handoff. Is that right?
Yeah. Is anybody else a signator on the account besides Scott?
No, and we need to add Sharon and myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, a question for Shauna. When you say social media, and I think I know the answer to this, but I'm just clarifying it because I haven't heard it from you. I just put something up on Nextdoor under general meetings and also whatever the other thing is. Are you going to take on Nextdoor as well?
I can.
Okay. It just makes sense to have a centralized message going out that goes out to both Facebook, Instagram, and Nextdoor. And
Right.
we had, Jen and I had kind of parsed it out. I did Nextdoor, she did Facebook.
Okay.
So if you don't mind, I already did it for this month, so
okay.
It's taken care of.
All right. Yeah, no, I'd be happy to take that on.
Cool. Thanks.
Nextdoor is easy. It's announcement of the event.
It's kind of fun.
Okay.
Jen, I would not say Nextdoor is easy. That app is ruthless.
Well, yeah.
I cannot with Nextdoor. It's like watching like a reality TV show.
Yes, but just announcing an event.
Yeah, announcing everything. Yeah, I think it remains pretty uncontroversial in that aspect.
Right. Like, I mean, I don't think that Sean is going to want to like start putting out daily stuff, and then people are going to be like, "How dare you?"
Yes, usually in my personal life, I stay away from posting on Nextdoor.
Yes.
Though I do read the comments for comedic effects sometimes.
Yeah. Or to be depressed, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yes. All right, Miles, we kind of, you were saying something and.
Yeah, I lost it. Whatever I was talking about.
Okay.
And just so that everyone knows, after we're done with this Zoom meeting here, I'll go ahead and create the Zoom information and send out the panelist links for next week's meeting.
Right.
Okay. So anything Zoom related you get from me after this will be for next week's meeting.
Right. Okay. Good. All right. So with that, I'm done with my portion. I'm going to hand it over to Shauna now to talk about the harvest walk and yeah, and then I think we have some questions for Miles and Franziska. But Shauna, it's all yours.
Oh, yeah. No stress. So yes, we're going ahead with the harvest walk, or we're hopefully going ahead with the harvest walk. If we get approval. So the way we have it set up is from 3 to 5 on October 31st on Turquoise Loop. So I don't know if you guys know where that is, but we've submitted a plan to the city to have them basically come in one part of the loop and exit out another, so people won't be crossing each other. And so we'll be asking for volunteers, a few volunteers from the community to set up registration, to do a first aid table, to help make sure people leave at the end. And then we're also going to be looking for teenage volunteers to be monitors. And the teenagers will get to dress up in costume. They'll be back from the participants, just holding signs like, you know, way to go, keep going. And the people at the end will be monitoring tables with candy so the families can go by. The kids can take a bag of candy and exit, and we'll have monitors stationed there to kind of urge people to not stop and stand, but to, you know, keep the traffic moving. So right now we're waiting on approval from the city on our plan. We've asked for a permit to close off the street, and we don't know if we'll get that or not, but we have a kind of backup plan to use the sidewalks if we can't close the street. And we're requesting help from the Acoma Theater Group as part of their honors theater troupe project for the volunteers, to the kids that dress up and help be the monitors and hand out candy and that sort of thing. Or not hand out candy, monitor the candy, because we've definitely set up a plan where we're bringing nobody into contact, close contact with anybody else. So we have registration table set up. We're going to have advanced registration using Eventbrite, and people will come. We have them allocated in 10-minute increments. And so and we know there's going to be some, there's always going to be some fudge factor. Somebody's trying to, rock on with 3 small children. They may not end up, exactly on time, but we've set it up so as people arrive, we have spots set up, and once we check them off at registration, we send them up to the front, and then we just release people from the front. So they walk on, and the people behind, they advance up to the front, and then the adult at the front will release one family, then the next family, then one family, then the next, and the ones from behind will keep filling in. And then on Ruby Court, we have kind of like a backup area that people can stand still, keeping that 6 feet apart, and we can have them enter going around the corner so they won't be crossing over the street. So we did our best to try and really come up with a plan where we were minimizing the chance of people crossing over. And then we'll have the monitors standing there with the signs reminding people that they need to wear masks, they need to stay 6 feet apart. In advance of the event, we're going to be sending out flyers or delivering flyers to all the homes, just informing people what we're doing, if and when the streets will be shut, asking them to come out in their yards or driveways to be spectators, but requesting that they not hand out anything to any of the children. So again, we're trying to keep it, very safety contained. We're looking for donations, and that's part of what's coming up for the bag. So we're going to have, we're estimating 300 children, 120 families. That's on the large side, but we decided, we better go for more than we think is going to come rather than fewer than we think are going to come. And Jen has some places that we could donate any bags that don't get used. So we've asked THPRD, we've asked the Beaverton Library, and then once we get approval for the event, we thought we could actually solicit from the community to see if people would donate just wrapped bags of candy. So we can't take open candy, but we can take, the pre-wrapped Halloween bags of candy. Olivia.
I just have like a couple of questions / concerns, if that's okay.
Sure.
So I guess my first question is, so I know with like liability, like who's like, does NAC have its own insurance?
That's a good question. We're doing this in conjunction with the Sexton Mountain Parent Organization. And so the parent organization has liability insurance. And when people register for the event, there will be a liability waiver on the site that they have to click. Anybody that shows up, and we have a backup plan for families because we know it's going to happen. There's going to be families that are going to show up without registering in advance. And we have a backup plan and a backup area to basically house those families staying 6 feet apart. And we're going to bring liability waivers for them to sign. So we will have insurance from the parent-teacher organization, and we will have liability waivers that they will have either, if they haven't pre-registered, they'll sign at the time of the event, and we will collect them and keep them all.
So Olivia, Adria set up an event with their insurance to make sure that the PTC was covering it. So good question.
Yep.
I guess that part just seems like I didn't know that like the school could do that to like the PTC since like school's not in session. I didn't know like they could like not, you know what I mean?
Technically speaking, school is in session.
Yeah.
And they do have insurance that extends to school-sponsored events. So this is a considered a school-sponsored event, just like the walking school bus would be, or the neighborhood carnival.
Okay.
So they do have insurance that extends to school-sponsored events that aren't happening right on the school grounds.
Okay, that makes sense then. That was my only question.
Good question. Sharon.
Shauna, so where's the starting point?
It is, I should have brought up the map. It's
at Ruby and
Ruby Court and Turquoise.
Yeah, and Turquoise Loop.
Yeah, and so that's the start and end?
No, not the end.
So
where's the ending point?
The end is at Turquoise Loop and Emerald.
Okay. All right. And one other question is that because I live basically on Turquoise Loop.
And we thank you.
So all the mailboxes for the last 20 whatever years we've had 4th of July parades and have posted on the mailboxes. Do you want to avoid doing that because then it's open, less control? Are you just doing the flyers to the households? How are you doing that?
We were planning on just going, I hadn't thought about the mailboxes because of course we don't have, are they the group mailboxes?
Yes.
Yeah, and see, we don't have access to put stuff inside of them.
No. These are posted on the sides of them. So as people are picking up their mail, this is how the 4th of July parade has gotten advertised for probably a couple of decades.
We were planning on just, go ahead.
You're not allowed to post on the post office mailboxes.
La, 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 la. No.
Right. We're planning on delivering something to each house along the route in advance.
Okay.
I wonder if Sharon's wondering, are you trying to find more people to come to the event, or are you just notifying people?
Notifying, yes. Come to the event, yes. But if you're trying to control it by going just household, I don't know. That was my question.
So I'm not sure what you mean by control it. We would love the homeowners to come out to their porches or their yards or their driveways or whatever and walk. Right now, we're still in like a bit of a nebulous situation if we don't know if the kids are walking on the sidewalk or walking in the street yet. Because if they're walking in the street, then we have sort of tons of real estate for people to stand out there and stay apart from each other.
And then my other question has to do with when we do like flicks in the park or something like that. And we had a rain event last time. So weather permitting, how you're going to communicate that. Obviously, it's going to be you look outside and you figure it out. But is there going to be something that's going to be noteworthy of pulling the plug?
That's a good question. I mean, I gotta say, I've taken children out in the pouring rain. I was just kind of like having a bit of a do or die. I'm like, man, we're going for it.
Right.
I wrote a COVID plan. I'm all in now.
Right.
So, but it's a good question. I mean, sorry. Yeah, I've been out with sodden children before. It's like, we will do Halloween, unless it's a hurricane or something. I mean, it's a good question. And no, I hadn't really thought about it.
It's what Miles said to me last year for movie night. It's Oregon. If you moved here and didn't know that you do stuff when it rains, then you missed the memo.
And if you own an umbrella, you're not an Oregonian. Right.
That's right. We shall shame you if you come out with an umbrella.
So no, I was just curious because I knew that there was a time. I think Miles wasn't there like hey, by 2 o'clock we're going to call it or not, and yeah.
This event that had more to do with like if it started getting windy with the rainstorm.
The tent and all of that.
Then the screen would fall over and the tents would blow away.
Right.
Yeah, I'm with a couple of years ago, it was a downpour and our neighborhood streets got flooded. So it was like a foot and a half deep that we were trudging through. And I'm not going to tell little kids no. Like Halloween's already kind of canceled. Like I would hate to like cancel something they were going to do.
I just wanted to get into the thinking there and see.
Yeah.
Yeah, contingencies.
Right.
I gotta say, Jen knows, I've been taking kind of a do or die attitude. It's like, we're just soldiering forward. I will stand there with the raincoat on if I have to.
Right. What was I going to ask? So, Miles and Franziska, would you say, like, is it safe for us to assume that this can happen in some way, shape, or form? Or do we need like kind of a final yes or no from you guys to know?
Right, because we're really at the point where we need to advertise it, and we haven't because we don't want to advertise it and then not get permission to do it. But we're kind of like, we really got to put the word out at this point.
I think if you can give me maybe 2 more days.
Okay.
I think it has a great chance of being fine closing down the street. I can't think of a good reason why they won't allow it. Because you're following all the CDC recommendations and the state of Oregon recommendations and the city recommendations. Like the COVID plan is solid.
Thank you.
I don't think they can just say no to say no at this point. And if they do, then maybe somebody calls the mayor, and who knows him, Sharon and Jen and Olivia, and ask him to step in.
Denny's too scared of me. We don't talk. I scared the guy.
But I think it'll be okay. Just give me a couple of days. I'll see if I can get like a finite yes or no.
Okay.
I don't have control over the process, but I can push as hard as I can.
Okay.
Right.
And if I don't get anywhere, we'll stick Franziska on them.
The ever charming Franziska. And then my next question is, like I put in the matching grant proposal to hopefully be able to borrow stuff from you guys, like a couple of tables and A-frames. Is that possible?
Yes.
Okay.
Just work with Franziska on getting what you need.
Fantastic.
And I just want to, on that point, when you're talking about seeking donations for candy, I'd recommend, instead of focusing time on that, using the matching grant funding to just go buy it.
Okay.
I love the idea of like THBRD donating stuff in the library, like, you know, their cool pencils or stickers or whatever it is that they have.
Sure.
But I think it's just tough out there for people to donate right now.
Right.
In general. And so I've got money allocated for this. So go forth and purchase what you think you need. And then what I found from working the parade for 14 years is however much you think you need, get some more.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Because we set up, we did like a little back of the envelope, and we figured we can easily accommodate 120 families in that time frame. And so we figured 120 families is about 300 children. And so that's what we were going for.
So, I mean, if people showed up and they can't actually do the parade because the time's kind of passed for them to get started, it'd still be great to be like, well, we still have a goodie bag for you, for the kids.
Sure.
Just to have those backups, especially if you have somebody that can take the donations.
Yeah.
You know, my philosophy is it's always better to have more than you need than to turn people away.
Okay.
Right.
Empty-handed. So
right.
You guys do what you think's best, but that's my recommendation.
Okay. And you saw the matching grant. It wasn't that much money for stuff. So, you know, if I go to Costco and go a little wild, it should be fine, especially based on the volunteer hours that Shauna and Lexus have already logged on this, you know, and then the people that we're going to get, you know, the kids from ACMA. And then I was going to ask Olivia if anyone from Mountainside Leadership might be willing to help us get the flyers out.
I'll explain all that to the grant committee that I'll ask them to approve it for more than what you requested. Just say, this was their estimate at the time they wrote it. They've got some new ideas.
Yeah.
If it won't be a problem. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
If there's any kind of problem, I have other funds available for NAC events. So we'll cover it either way.
Okay.
And it's getting the word out, just a matter of, I mean, yeah, we're not going to do the mailboxes, but, you know, doing, because school is virtual, just having them have an announcement to just a general.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Sexton Mountain has a Facebook page that is a very hot property, and it is how Shauna and I advertise meetings, and it's, you know, how we, you know, often get folks to come to meetings. And it was actually parents on that Facebook page that asked for something like this. So, you know, I think that's going to be a main way to advertise. I think with these flyers, Shauna, if we could have like a QR code that would go to Eventbrite so that people could register. Right.
And the woman that's the communications person for the Sexton Mountain PTC is in the loop, and she said if possible, she'll send out an email to the parents. She can do it like an all-school email type of thing. So I think we can get the word out. It's just, you know, we want to let people know so they can make their plans around it. And I have gotten already a group of that's will take on stuffing all the candy bags, at least, you know, have that done 72 hours in advance so we can put them in closed bins and keep them quarantined.
Are you thinking about anything other than candy as well for the bags?
So we have...
These are glow-in-the-dark bouncy balls.
Ooh, I like that.
They're like 72 count, I think, for $15.
The only problem is those are probably choking hazards for small children.
You're right.
Okay, sorry. I had one of those children, so I can identify like any choking hazard anywhere at any time because I had one that stuffed everything in her mouth.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, we've asked I think THPRD and the Beaverton Library are both looking to donate stuff that's not candy, to donate pencils and stuff. But if you have ideas like that, that would be awesome. Again, we're running up into time.
Sure.
But anything we can find, you know, that we can reasonably source would be great.
Donna, if the library tries to unload a bunch of books on you to give away, like you tell them to bring their own volunteers because they're heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think she's talking pencils and stuff.
Yeah, they let us know today that they're not allowed to send volunteers, but that they have stuff for us. So
great.
Yeah.
Olivia.
I just to clarify, we're waiting to advertise it till it gets approved, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. Anything else? We're at 3:46. I said we were ending at 3:45, so we're only a minute late. I'm super excited about this. And guys, it's so great to work with you all. I really appreciate it. I'm just